In today's fast-moving world, driving has become an essential part of our lives. It gives us the ability to be independent, pursue our business and leisure interests, and service the needs of our everyday life. So today, the ability to drive is virtually a necessity. The skills we learn, both before and after we pass the test, are skills which stand us in good stead throughout our lives. The better we do something, the more we enjoy it, and acquiring these essential skills will go a long way towards making driving a pleasure. To be able to cope with today's road and traffic conditions, you need to be able to drive confidently and defensively. Defensive driving is a combination of skill, knowledge, and attitude. You must learn to handle the car smoothly and correctly, study the highway code rules and learn how to apply them. And perhaps most of all, develop a safe attitude towards yourself, your passengers and other road users. To survive, you have to accept that other drivers will not always do the expected thing, and care and anticipation should ensure that you become a safe and considerate road user. Aggression behind the wheel is something that must always be avoided, and even if you feel it may be your priority, you should always be willing to give way. It's far better to do this than to force a situation and finish up in a hospital bed crying, "It wasn't my fault." Statistics show that accident rates are extremely high amongst newly qualified drivers, particularly those in the 18 to 25 bracket. The causes include immaturity, lack of experience, failing to anticipate dangerous situations, a willingness to take risks, aggression, overconfidence, and showing off. Sadly, a blatant disregard for the law is sometimes thought of as being macho when there are friends in the car. Only about half of those taking their driving test pass first time. This shows that thousands of people take it before they've been properly prepared by having enough lessons and sufficient practice. You shouldn't look on the driving test as the be-all and end-all of learning. It's only the beginning. The aim of this program is to remind you of the essential elements on which you'll be tested and help you prepare for a lifetime on the road. So watch this program carefully and benefit from it. In fact, watch it a number of times. It contains a lot of good advice. Now, in the not too distant future, there may be some major changes in legislation relating to newly qualified drivers. Now, those committing serious traffic offences within 1 or 2 years of passing their driving test could lose their licence. This will mean that they must then comply with the rules relating to learner drivers again until they pass another test. To avoid this embarrassment and to ensure that you are one of those who pass first time, you should be prepared to have enough training with a qualified driving instructor and lots of practice. Ask around and find out which local instructors get the most passes. Ring up and have a chat before committing yourself. Remember, you'll be spending quite a lot of time with your instructor, and it's important that you get on reasonably well. Ask if the course covers the L driver syllabus recommended by the Driving Standards Agency, whose motto is safe driving for life. Don't look for the cheapest. Remember, you usually get what you pay for. If you opt for what looks like a bargain, you may pay out more in the long run on failed tests and extra lessons. 25 lessons at £12 is cheaper than 50 at £7. If you fail, you'll not only lose your confidence, but you'll also experience more pressure when you take your next test. Approved driving instructors must display an official green certificate in the near side of the front windscreen. If there's a red certificate on display, this means your instructor hasn't yet taken the final part of his ADI examination. Make sure your instructor displays one of these certificates. If not, ask why. Take your instructor's advice and have enough lessons before going out to practice with family or friends. Be prepared to be taught only by your instructor until you have mastered the basic skills and rules. Most experienced drivers have developed bad habits, and the last thing you want is for them to be passed on to you. Going out with friends or relatives before you can cope reasonably well may result in major arguments, or you're being taken into situations that you can't cope with. This can lead to a loss of confidence and the need for more lessons to build it up again.
Stop the bloody car. I've had this. I'm sorry. I'm not having any more of this. Well, I'm sorry. When I say turn right, I expect you to turn right. I don't want you to say, oh, couldn't we go further down the road? Look, that's it. Come on, I'll drive home. No, I'll drive home. That's enough. This is ridiculous. I have the same bloody trouble teaching your mother to drive. Well, walk home then if you don't want to.
It may be useful for your instructor to have a chat with the person who's going to supervise you, to keep them up to date with modern driving techniques, and to ensure that they follow his lesson plan. Remember that your supervising driver must have held a full driving licence for at least 3 years and be 21 or over. In between your lessons, it'll be a help for you and your supervising driver to study Learn to Drive in 10 easy stages. This will remind you of the procedures and routines that are essential to safe driving. If you have enough lessons, plenty of practice, and apply for your test only when you're advised to do so, you should be able to pass first time. During your course of lessons, study the book Your Driving Test, as well as the highway code. Your examiner will know from the way you drive whether or not you understand the rules. Being properly prepared for your future on the road will pay dividends in the long run. Not only will you learn how to handle the car smoothly and confidently, but you will also enjoy your driving and get a lot of satisfaction from doing it well. Your skill will also make your passengers feel more confident and more comfortable when you're behind the wheel. So, good luck with your training and your test. Once you've passed it and tasted the freedom of the open road, you'll be glad you made the effort to get it right. So over now to our instructor and his pupil.
The first and most basic routine you need to understand is the mirror signal maneuver routine. We apply this whatever the situation. You need to check your mirrors regularly and before taking any action. When checking them, we're looking for what is around us, how close it is, how fast it is travelling, and whether it will be safe to carry out our intentions. But remember that mirrors alone cannot tell us the full story. In particular, before moving away, it is vital that the blind spots to the sides of the car are checked for any other road users. The blind spots are those areas between your normal line of sight and the areas covered by the mirrors. They can easily conceal cyclists, whole cars, or pedestrians. So remember to look properly and ask yourself, is anybody there? The highway code says signals should be used to help or warn other road users, including pedestrians. They should be used where necessary and in plenty of time to tell other people of your intentions. Make sure that you time your signals correctly so as not to confuse other road users. Don't signal too soon. For example, if you want to take the second turning on the left, delay your signal until you have passed the first. Then signal in plenty of time to let others know exactly what you're about to do. Remember that other road users are not mind readers, so make sure you let them know what you're about to do and give them time to react. A maneuver is any change in speed or direction. Simply explained, it's broken down into getting into the correct position, adjusting the speed, and selecting an appropriate gear. Looking to see what other road users are around and what is happening. Assessing the situation, and finally making a decision to either proceed if safe or hold back if not. Fine clutch control is an essential part of good driving, and the examiner will expect you to demonstrate this to him. Good clutch control will also give you the confidence needed to tackle many everyday road situations. There are 3 basic tests that will show the examiner that you have mastered this technique. These are the hill start, the turn in the road, and the reversing exercises. Moving off uphill requires perfect timing in the use of the gas, the clutch, and the handbrake. For this exercise, select first gear and set the gas. Find the biting point of the clutch by listening for the engine note to change. At this point, you should be able to release the handbrake and hold the car stationary on the hill. Look all around you, and if it's safe, slowly raise the clutch pedal, squeeze the gas, and gently accelerate up the hill. Build up your speed and change through the gears as normal. Should you stall, don't worry. Reapply the handbrake, select neutral, and start again. The examiner will be impressed by your calmness. Once again, this exercise needs good clutch control, combined with accuracy of steering and good all-round observation. As with almost everything you do in the car, you must begin with the mirror signal maneuver routine. Start by preparing the car to move. Once you're ready to set off, check your mirrors carefully and look around. Remember to look ahead as well as behind you. Use a signal if you feel it would help other road users. Moving away slowly and looking well ahead, steer around the parked car in front and straighten the wheels once you've cleared it. Check the mirror and drive away as normal. Let's begin with the procedure for turning left into a side road. First of all, look ahead for signs and markings and put the mirror signal maneuver routine into practice. Check the mirror to see what is happening behind. Stay in your normal driving position, about 2 or 3 feet from the curb, and then put the left signal on. Slow down in plenty of time, select the appropriate gear, and then start looking all around for possible hazards and other road users. Begin your turn when the front wheels are level with the corner. Look well into the new road, and when you've entered the new road, remember to check your mirror to see what's happening behind. When turning right, the procedure is slightly different. Again, check for road signs and markings and use the mirror signal maneuver routine. Check the mirror to make sure no one is about to overtake you. Indicate that you intend to turn right and then position your car just to the left of the center of the road. Decide whether you will have time to turn or whether you will have to give way. If you have time to turn safely without affecting oncoming traffic, select the appropriate gear and look into the new road. If it's safe, turn into your own side of the new road, making sure that you do not cut the corner. If you don't have time to go without slowing down an oncoming driver, stop and wait just short of the point of turn. Select first gear. If you have to wait for more than a few seconds, apply the handbrake. While you're waiting, look into the new road for any hazards. As soon as you see a suitable gap in the oncoming traffic, check the mirrors and turn in, keeping to your own side of the road. Remember to check the mirror again after turning. At T-junctions, there are normally give way or stop signs and markings. At those marked with a give way sign, you have to give way to the traffic in the main road. If you can see that the road is clear, you may proceed without stopping. The stop sign means exactly what it says. You must bring the car to a complete halt. Let's look first at turning left. Putting into practice the mirror signal maneuver routine, check to see what's happening behind and indicate left. If the junction is not marked with a stop sign, slow down and start looking in both directions. Not only are you looking for traffic approaching from the right, but you must be aware of any unexpected hazards to the left. These may be cars parked near the junction, overtaking cars in the middle of the road, or pedestrians crossing the road. If you still can't see properly, it may be necessary to creep and peep until you can see it's safe to go. Remember, as with all manoeuvres, that looking doesn't just mean a quick glance to the right, left and right. It means looking continuously to assess and reassess the all-round situation. When turning right, approach the junction as before. If the road is wide enough, move to a position just left of the centre line and indicate right. Slow down and keep looking both ways. If the new road is clear in both directions, select the appropriate gear and keep moving. If the road is not clear or you can't see properly, wait at the lines until it's safe to go. Remember that a car approaching at speed may be invisible 1 second and almost on top of you the next, so stay alert. Never assume that a car approaching your junction with its indicator flashing will actually make the turn. The driver may simply have forgotten to cancel his previous signal. When approaching junctions marked with a stop sign, the routines are exactly the same, except that it's essential to come to a complete halt. Broadly speaking, the routines for approaching and turning at crossroads are very similar to those used at T-junctions, except that there is an extra road ahead. If there are give way or stop signs across your part of the road, you must be ready to slow down or stop as required. Here, not only do you have to keep checking carefully both to the left and the right, but you also need to check what's happening in the road ahead. Is the road clear? Is there a car opposite signalling to turn right? If you're not sure, wait. When you're sure it's safe, continue. Even at crossroads where you have the priority, it's advisable to be ready to slow down in case someone less careful than you is emerging across your path. In the case of unmarked crossroads, treat these as though there is a give way sign, and be prepared to slow down, give way, or even stop. Traffic lights always follow the same colour sequences. These are red, red and amber, green, amber, red. Obviously, you need to stop on red. When red and amber are showing together, you may start getting ready to move off, but do not move off until the green light comes on. Green means go, but even then, be prepared for drivers who have failed to stop on their red signal, or for those who have not yet cleared the junction. An amber signal means that the lights are about to turn red. You must stop unless you have already crossed the stop line or you're too close to it to pull up safely. Whatever the light is showing, be ready for it to change. When approaching a green light, be prepared for it to change to amber. Check your mirror and ease off the gas. Be ready to cover the brake should the light actually change. Never be tempted to accelerate hard in order to beat the lights. When approaching a red light, be ready for it to change. Check the mirror, ease off the gas, and be ready to select a lower gear in order to pull away should the lights change. If the lights have only just turned to red, apply the handbrake and select neutral. When the amber light shows, select first gear and prepare to move off, but only do so when the green light shows and it's safe to go. In towns, there may be 2 or 3 lanes on the approach to junctions. Make sure you're reading the signs and markings and select the correct lane well in advance. When turning left, stay in the left lane. If you're going straight ahead, you may either stay in the left lane or select the centre lane if the road has 3 lanes. When turning right, you will normally select the right-hand lane. Looking well ahead and reading the road situation always helps. There is nothing more irritating than the driver who tries to change lanes at the very last moment. Make sure that you select the correct lane well in advance of the junction. There are 2 methods of turning right at traffic lights, the offside to offside method and the near side to near side method. Which one you select will depend on the size and the layout of the junction, the road markings, and how the oncoming driver has positioned his car. If using the offside method, when the lights change to green, move slowly forwards to the point of turn and steer round the rear of the other vehicle. Check for any oncoming traffic, look into the new road, and move off as soon as it's safe. When using the near side method, move slowly over the stop line, turning the wheel. This will enable any oncoming driver to anticipate what you're going to do and react accordingly. Remember, when turning right, your view of any oncoming traffic may be obscured. Do not turn unless you're positive it is safe to go. Consideration for other road users is a major part of good driving. Even if the junction is not marked with a yellow box, make sure that your exit is clear before you enter the junction itself. There may be pedestrians crossing the new road. Remember that they have priority. Give way to them. There are 2 main types of pedestrian crossings, the zebra and the pelican. In the case of the zebra crossing, look well ahead for anyone who seems likely to cross. Check your mirror and adjust your speed accordingly. Remember that a pedestrian who has already stepped onto the crossing has priority. Unfortunately, the majority of pedestrians have no idea of the time that it takes to stop a car, and often give little or no warning of their intentions to cross. Always expect the worst and be prepared to stop when you see people near the crossing. Happily, pelican crossings are easier to deal with, as both pedestrian and driver have to obey the lights. The stop routines on pelican crossings are exactly the same as normal traffic lights. However, the light sequence is slightly different. After the red, you will see a flashing amber light. This means that pedestrians still on the crossing have priority, but you may proceed if the crossing is clear. Beware the late arrival running to beat the lights. Roundabouts were originally devised to keep the traffic moving more freely at what was basically a crossroads. When approaching a roundabout, the general rule is to give way to traffic approaching from the right. When turning left at a roundabout, follow the usual mirror signal maneuver routine and stay in the left-hand lane. Adjust your speed, and as you approach the roundabout, keep looking for gaps in the traffic. Be prepared to move smartly away when a safe opportunity arises. Remember to keep checking to the left to make sure you maintain the correct position and to check that the traffic in front of you has moved away. If you wish to go straight on at a roundabout, the examiner will use the term "follow the road ahead." Look well ahead for any road markings and signs telling you which lane to choose. If there are no road markings, stay in the left-hand lane. Check the mirror, but do not signal at this point. Enter the roundabout when there is a safe gap in the traffic and stay in the left-hand lane. Once you have passed the exit prior to the one you wish to take, check your mirrors and signal left for leaving the roundabout. Leave in the left-hand lane, checking the mirror when you have joined the new road. If the examiner wishes you to turn right, he will ask you to take the road leading off to the right. That is the third exit. In this case, you will have to use the mirror signal maneuver routine for getting into the right-hand lane, and then use it again for dealing with the roundabout. Proceed into the roundabout when there is a safe gap. Keep up with the flow of the traffic and stay in the right-hand lane. As you're passing the second exit, indicate left for leaving at the next exit, checking to the left again before you change lanes. Turn into the new road and accelerate through the gears in the normal way.
Having now dealt with the basic rules of the road, it's time to look at the special manoeuvres and car control exercises which are included in the driving test. Whatever you may think, these are extremely useful in everyday driving situations. Let's look first at the emergency stop. The good driver is usually planning well ahead and anticipating things which might happen. However, emergencies do occur. We must be prepared to react quickly to them. Unexpected events such as a child running out from behind a car, an animal running into the road, or a cyclist wobbling uncertainly in front of you may well require the driver to take emergency action.
The good driver should be using the mirrors regularly and be constantly aware of what is happening behind. In the event of such an emergency, this will help, as there may not be time to check the mirror again. The examiner will expect you to demonstrate your ability to react quickly and keep the car under control. When the examiner wants you to stop, he will strike the dashboard and say, "Stop." You will be expected to bring the car to a halt in the shortest possible distance and in a straight line without locking the wheels. To stop quickly and under control, brake firmly but progressively. Keep your hands on the wheel, and just before the car stops, push the clutch down. Should you stall the engine at this or any other time, don't worry. Everyone stalls now and again. What the examiner will be looking for is that you make your normal safety checks before switching on again. You will probably be stopped in an unusual position in the road, so before moving away, remember to check your mirrors and the blind areas all around the car. Braking harshly in slippery or wet conditions may cause the wheels to lock up, leading to a loss of control. In these circumstances, you must use a technique called cadence braking. This involves braking with a fast pumping action, thereby preventing the wheels from locking up totally and allowing you to maintain control. If, during an emergency stop, the rear of the car breaks away to either the left or right, you will have to take corrective action by steering into the skid. This means that if the rear of the car breaks away to the left, you must steer to the left to keep the car on course, just like this.
The ability to reverse a car accurately is a vital part of your everyday driving life, and you should be able to carry out this exercise competently. Choose a safe site to practice this manoeuvre. Select places which are safe, legal and convenient. Check your highway code for the rules relating to reversing. Now, despite what some people say, reversing is quite easy. All you have to remember is to keep the car under control and steer in the direction you want the rear end of the car to go. So to reverse the car to the left, turn the wheel to the left. To reverse it to the right, turn to the right. What could be easier? Over to the instructor again.
Drive past the road you intend to reverse into and check that it will be safe. Look for pedestrians and any other obstructions. Remembering your mirror signal maneuver routine, stop the car about 2 feet from the curb and far enough past the corner so that you can see it clearly in your rear view mirror. First of all, make sure that you turn in your seat so that you can see easily through the rear window. Select reverse gear, and if you wish, you can take your seatbelt off. Constantly checking all around you, move slowly back towards the corner. Keep moving back until you see the curb in your side window. If it's safe to do so, begin your turn when the rear wheels are level with the corner. Keep a constant check on the front of the car as it will swing out at this point. Look well back down the new road, and as soon as you see that your car is almost parallel with the curb, straighten the wheel. Continue to reverse in a straight line until you're about 3 to 4 car lengths away from the corner. Stop, apply the handbrake and select neutral. Before moving away again, check that your seatbelt is buckled. Should another vehicle be approaching from any direction, wait until it is cleared before continuing. Should a car come up behind you in the new road, you may have to pull back around the corner and start your maneuver again. Your examiner will take particular note of how you handle an unusual situation. Reversing to the right, although not necessarily part of the driving test, is an extremely useful exercise. Using, of course, as always, your mirror signal maneuver routine, indicate to any other road users that you will be moving across to the right-hand side of the road. Checking carefully both for oncoming cars or cars emerging from the side road, position your car about 18 inches from the curb and about 2 car lengths past the corner. Select reverse gear and check all around. If it helps you, you may open your window so that you can follow the curb more easily. If safe, move slowly back towards the corner. Keep checking all around for other road users. When your rear wheels are level with the curb, begin your turn. Remember that the front of the car will swing out, so pay particular attention to oncoming traffic on your side of the road. If it's safe, continue reversing, looking well down the new road. Keep parallel to the curb and stop when you're about 5 car lengths from the corner. Before moving away, make sure your seatbelt is buckled and check the blind areas all around the car. When moving away, it will be necessary to get back onto the left of the new road and then deal with the junction in the normal way. This exercise, which used to be known as the three-point turn, is an essential demonstration of your car control skills and a useful maneuver in everyday motoring. Do not attempt this maneuver in a busy road, as it's bound to inconvenience other road users. Make sure it's also a safe and legal place. Having checked that it's safe, move slowly away, turning the wheel briskly to the right. About 3 feet from the curb, Turn the wheel briskly back to the left. Stop the car just before the front wheel reaches the curb. Put on the handbrake and select reverse gear. Check carefully all around for other road users and move slowly back, looking over your left shoulder. Steer briskly to the left until you're about 3 feet from the curb and straighten the wheel before you come to a halt. Select first gear and check the road again. Looking down the road to the right, move slowly forwards, turning the wheel to the right. Straighten up when you reach your correct position on the road and accelerate away up through the gears as normal. Let's see this vital maneuver once again. Depending on the width of the road you choose and the size of your car, it may not be possible to complete this maneuver in 3 movements, and 5 movements may be needed. Don't worry, your instructor may need to take 5 movements as well. You will notice that in this case our learner is making life harder for herself, as she has not swung the wheel to the right at the end of her first reversing maneuver, meaning she has to struggle to turn the wheel from lock to lock while stationary. If possible, try not to do this, as it puts added strain on the car's steering joints as well as your arms. The ability to park well is essential to every driver. This is how it's done. Making sure that the parking space is safe, legal and convenient, carry out your normal safety routines. Make sure that you signal your intentions well in advance to the drivers behind. You can do this by using a combination of indicator, brake lights and an arm signal if appropriate. Draw level with the car in front of the space you want to reverse into. Select reverse gear and when safe, move slowly backwards until your rear wheel is level with the back of the car you're reversing around. Briskly steer to the left, looking into the space. Once the front of your car has cleared the rear of the car in front of you, turn the wheel smartly back to the right. If you've judged it correctly, your car should end up fairly close to the curb and parallel with it. Before switching off the engine, make sure that your front wheels are straight. This maneuver, which will vary slightly depending on the car you drive, can only be perfected through practice. After all, there are many people who've been driving for years who still can't reverse into a small space as well as they should. Trying to reverse too quickly and being overconfident can often result in a botched job like this, which will do your ego and the car's tyres no good at all. So try to take your time and be proud to get it right first time. Anticipating the situation ahead is perhaps the most important skill a driver can acquire. Anticipation is a bit like a game of consequences. The dog you see walking down the pavement may suddenly decide that the trees are more inviting on the other side. The man on his bicycle may wobble around ahead of you, suddenly causing an incident. The driver waiting to emerge from the side road may not have seen you. The good driver will be aware of all these potential hazards and should be ready to react. So make sure when you're driving that you constantly scan the road ahead. Your eyes should never be still. You should be aware of what is happening behind you, beside you and in front. Indeed, you should try to be scanning the road up to 5 or 6 cars ahead. In many cases, aware drivers may find themselves braking before the driver in front has even reacted. When driving past parked vehicles, give them at least 3 feet of clearance in case someone unexpectedly opens a door. Pay particular attention around bus stops and watch out for pedestrians walking unexpectedly from behind the bus. Remember that speed limits are maximum speeds. The road and traffic conditions will dictate what is a safe speed. On many narrow residential roads, you may find that 15 miles an hour is quite enough, especially where cars may be parked on both sides of the road. When you see an obstruction ahead, don't be afraid to move towards the crown of the road. This will give you a better view of the situation ahead and avoid the need to steer suddenly round the obstruction at the last moment. This is all part of using the road intelligently. Although much of your driving may be done in urban areas, you must always be aware of the added dangers to be found in the countryside. Especially in small country lanes, be aware that just around the next corner there may be a herd of cows, people out riding, or people walking in the road. So always drive with particular care. To survive in today's road conditions, you have to have the confidence to drive at higher speeds and keep up with the flow of traffic. Positive driving and forward planning will all help you to press on with confidence and within the law. Remember, as in town, to use all of the mirrors regularly so as to keep in touch with what's happening to the rear and the sides of your car. Select your lane early and drive in the centre of it at a speed which is appropriate to the road and the traffic conditions. If you wish to overtake the vehicle in front, check first that it is safe to do so. Indicate your intentions and accelerate quickly past. Once you're well clear of the vehicle you've overtaken, indicate your intentions and return to your chosen lane. Remember, especially when driving on single carriageway roads, that the faster you get past the vehicle you wish to overtake, the safer the manoeuvre will be. So don't be afraid to change down into a lower gear to give you greater acceleration. When joining a dual carriageway, use your mirrors to gauge the density and speed of the traffic. Accelerate firmly into the slip road to build up your speed and join the traffic flow with the minimum of disruption. It's important to keep well back from the car in front. Ask yourself, if he stops, can I? As a general rule, you should allow about 1 metre for every mile per hour of your speed. Therefore, at 60 miles an hour, you should ideally be 60 metres away from the car in front. Judging distance can sometimes be difficult and will improve with experience. A useful rule to follow is the 2-second rule. To practice this, watch the car ahead, and as it passes an identifiable object, such as a tree or a post, say to yourself, only a fool breaks the 2-second rule. If you pass the tree before you have completed the phrase, you're too close, so drop back. Unfortunately, in today's traffic conditions, drivers are often unable to keep the ideal distance from the car in front. Therefore, extra concentration and quick reactions will be required when travelling at speed in close proximity to other traffic. Always make sure that you're comfortable in the car and can reach the controls easily, and that the mirrors and seat are adjusted properly. Make sure your car is in good running order. Keep the windows and lights clean and the washer bottle topped up. See that your tyres are inflated correctly, have sufficient tread, and that there are no cuts or bulges in the sidewalls. Wear comfortable clothes and shoes. Stiletto heels are not really suitable. If you're tired or unwell, your concentration may be affected. If necessary, pull over and take a break. If the temperature in the car is very high, it may make you drowsy, so open a window and keep plenty of fresh air circulating. Always try to drive smoothly. Avoid harsh use of the controls. Remember that your passenger's comfort is important too. Jerky acceleration and sudden stops are uncomfortable, so take pride in the smoothness of your gear changing and braking. Not everyone else will be as keen a driver as we hope you will be, so make allowances for their shortcomings and, like this man, be prepared to give way to them. A few seconds courtesy will make no difference to your overall journey time. Remember that large vehicles take longer to stop and will accelerate more slowly than you. Give them room to manoeuvre and space to brake. Don't forget that it's good manners on hills to give way to the car coming up, even if the obstruction is on their side. Your consideration will be appreciated. After you've passed your test, you'll be solely responsible for the safety of yourself and your passengers and other road users. Most modern cars are capable of speeds in excess of 100 miles an hour and can be lethal in the wrong hands, so always think carefully before you act. There are a number of accidents which seem to occur with monotonous regularity. Let's take a look at the most common of these and see how you can avoid them. The phantom door opener. Give plenty of clearance when passing parked cars, especially those where you can see that there's a driver in the driving seat. Remember, if you can't give the ideal clearance, go through more slowly. The swinger. Don't swing out before making the turn. Keep your car straight and make the turn when you arrive at the corner. The corner cutter. Keep to your own side of the road when turning right and don't cross the markings onto the other carriageway of the new road. The forgetful one. Never ever assume that a car will turn simply because there's an indicator flashing. He may have forgotten all about it. The secretive driver. Watch out for the driver who doesn't signal and changes direction without warning. Keep checking both ways when approaching junctions. Make sure that the car in front of you really has gone before you move off. When emerging from a side road, make sure that no one has had to move onto your side of the new road to avoid an obstruction. Look both ways before emerging. The outer lane mistake. When turning right from a side road across 2 lanes of traffic, make sure that the drivers in both lanes to your right have stopped to let you out. The inner lane mistake. When turning right from the main road into a side road across 2 lanes of traffic, make sure that the driver in the inner lane knows you're there. Always proceed with caution. The flasher. Contrary to common belief, a flashing headlight is not a proper signal. Do not assume it's safe to go because someone else tells you to. Make sure for yourself that it's safe.
I hope that you've understood and remembered everything you've been told and shown in this programme. It is, of course, impossible to cover every aspect of driving in so short a time. But we trust that at this stage, not only will you be ready to take your test and pass it with flying colours, but you'll have a sound understanding of what will be expected from you as a responsible motorist. I'm sure that you'll still be somewhat nervous about your forthcoming test and a little unsure about what to expect. However, we're now going to show you exactly what happens during a driving test. We shall be following the car throughout the whole test session, and just to make things more interesting, we've mounted 2 small home video cameras in the test car itself so we can monitor our candidate's progress throughout the test session. Now, nothing has been specially staged for the camera, so just sit back and relax. As you'll see, the test is not nearly as bad as you might think.
Your driving test will be split into 2 parts. The written theory test, followed by the practical driving part of the test. Before applying to take the practical driving test, you will have had to have taken and passed a straightforward written theory test. For those whose first language is not English, the paper is available in a selection of languages. Passing the theory test is actually quite straightforward and involves answering a selection of multiple choice questions like these. By studying carefully and applying a degree of common sense, you will find that this part of your driving test is not nearly as daunting as you might have thought. Careful study of books such as these, which are all available in W.H. Smith, will ensure that you are well prepared. Now, let's run through the whole driving part of the test and see what actually happens.
Nice dry day for it today. Where's your car parked?
Just round the corner.
Okay. Would you like to read the number plate on the blue car, the second blue car there, please?
E313CRX.
Thank you. Would you like to get into your car? Get yourself comfortable, thank you.
What's all the checking that's going on now?
Well, this is normal procedure. The examiner is having a look around at the car to make sure it's in a roadworthy condition and also that the L plates are being properly displayed.
So being roadworthy, she'll live to test another day.
Well, let's hope so. Do you mind if I call you Sharon?
No.
Okay then, Sharon, what I want you to do is just drive on when you're ready, following the road ahead, unless signs or markings indicate otherwise. When I want you to turn, I'll tell you in good time. And if there's anything you don't understand, please ask. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. You can drive on when you're ready.
Thank you.
This presumably is the most nerve-wracking part of all when she's actually got to get on with it.
That's right. It's make or break time. It's now's the time to go. And the first few minutes is always the worst because obviously we're all anxious, we're all human when we're being watched by another person on a close individual basis like this. But there is normally a reasonably quiet drive to allow for a settling down period. At the end of the road, turn left, please.
And we've got the first manoeuvre coming up. Let's see how she does it.
Yes, she should by now have checked her mirror. Yes, there's the signal. Now we've got to deal with the junction.
And a bit of a hill start as well.
Yes, all a good test to begin with, this is. Looks like a reasonably busy junction as well. Take the next road on the right.
Is she signalling in plenty of time?
She signalled quite well there because she did wait until she'd gone past the parked vehicles before she put the right turn signal on. First major hazard, it's always a little bit unnerving.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
She's probably sitting there thinking about all this oncoming traffic she's got to wait for. Nice smooth control.
Yes, and a nice day to go with it. I mean, we've got a nice sunny day for her test today. What's the situation where you have heavy rain or fog or snow or something like that?
Well, heavy rain, I'm afraid that's just a little bit unfortunate. You just have to deal with it. But if there's anything worse, such as fog or snow, then the test would be cancelled. This is so that all candidates get a fair crack at the whip and some aren't penalised.
being autumn, of course, she's got the sun right in her eyes.
Yes, it is a little bit low at this time of the year.
Pedestrian there.
Mhm.
Yes, she seems to
Holding
have backed
back.
off a little bit. Yes, that's good. Is she giving enough clearance to the cars beside her?
She seems to be giving plenty of clearance at the moment, and also she's got the oncoming traffic to deal with. And now we've got a cyclist ahead. And a crossing. Would have probably been better to hold back for the cyclist to go over the crossing there, but that would probably go down as a minor error. By now Sharon should be feeling pretty comfortable in the car. No too great a problem to deal with. Would you take the next road on the left, please?
Now, we seem to be on major roads here. Is this a minor road we're being led into now?
Well, normally, after a little bit of driving to get settled down, the examiner will find some quiet areas in which to carry out the manoeuvres. She dealt with that little hazard quite nicely there. She's certainly got plenty to think about anyway, to keep her mind off her nerves.
Well, yes, we've got a little jam ups at yard. They've let her through. That's all right.
She seems to be anticipating well ahead.
And we've got a bit of courtesy from the other driver, which is always a help.
Yes, it's nice to get a bit of give and take. At the end of the road, turn left, please.
Do the examiners always use the same test route, Margaret?
They have several test routes running from the same test centre. Obviously, if they've got 5 or 6 examiners working from the same centre, they don't want all to be queuing up to carry out the manoeuvres, etc. But they normally stick to similar routes, so they've got the same degree of difficulty. Nice and steady past the pedestrians there. Would you take the next road on the right, please?
It's of course a little unfortunate that she's actually had the cameras put in the car with her as well, but she's obviously coping well with the situation.
Yes, she is. She's doing very well. It must be a little bit nerve-wracking being watched from all angles.
Now, in the absence of any other instructions, she's going straight on. Is that the correct thing to do?
Yes, that's normally the case. This is why at the beginning of the test the examiner says, follow the road ahead, unless I ask otherwise, or unless the markings or signs dictate otherwise.
And if you're a little unsure, just be positive.
Yes, that's right. Or if you're still unsure, you can always ask.
Would you pull into the left when it's convenient, please?
Now, why would she be pulling over to the left here in this case?
Well, it's normal practice for the candidate to move off and stop several times to check the controls all right.
Thank you. Drive on when you're ready, please.
Oh, she looked behind her well there. Good
Yes.
use of the mirrors and looking around in the seat.
All these aspects are checked on. It's not just the control, but all the observations as well.
So not only have you got to be doing it, but you've got to be seen to be doing it.
That's correct, yes.
Would you take the next road on the left, please? It's just round the bend.
Presumably none of the manoeuvres like the emergency stop or the three-point turn are done too early in the test.
Well, normally they do like to get the emergency stop out of the way as early as is reasonably possible.
Would you pull into the left at the next convenient place, please?
Hello, she's pulling her into the left. Now, what do you think we've got coming up here?
So what we're doing here. She's probably going to do the reverse parking exercise.
Oh, let's see how she does.
Thank you. Would you pull forwards alongside of the car ahead and then stop the car, reverse in behind it, please?
Right, here we go. She's straightening up a bit early there, isn't she?
She is, but
I'm
again, she's probably a little bit anxious, and she has done it better than that in the past.
Oh, she has, hasn't she?
Mm,
Yes, that's not as good as it could have been.
it's not. Well, at least she's straightened the wheels up.
Thank you. Drive on when you're ready, please.
Now, presumably, that wouldn't constitute a failing mark, would it? Or would it?
I don't think so. It would really go down as probably a minor error on accuracy, because she could have got it a little bit closer to the curb, but she got it in within a reasonable distance, making all the observations. She's probably thinking now, oh dear, I made a mess of that.
Getting warm.
Just a little.
Do you take the next road on the right, please?
She seems to be getting lots of parked vehicles near all of these junctions she's using.
And when it's convenient, would you pull up on the left, please?
Ah, do you think we've got the hill start coming up? I mean, this is reasonably hilly just
It
here.
certainly is, isn't it? It's quite a good one, that.
Let's see how she does with this.
Yes, another test of her control skills.
Thank you. Would you drive on when you're ready, please?
Held it nicely on the clutch and
Lovely.
away she goes. Absolutely splendid.
All the
10 out of 10 for that one, I would
Certainly,
say.
yes, all the observations at the correct time as well.
And take the next road on the left, please.
She's certainly being taken around the houses.
She is, isn't she? Or at least she's got a quiet bit now.
Presumably, as each of these manoeuvres takes place, your confidence grows every time.
Yes, and unless you feel yourself that you've made a mess of it, and then you can get a little bit anxious, of course. But the secret is to concentrate on what you're doing, not
That's
on
the
what you
roundabout.
did.
Take the road leading off to the right. That's the third exit.
Ah, a roundabout. Now, we've actually seen her here during her lessons, so it's obviously a piece of road she knows, so this should help her confidence a bit.
It certainly will.
At the next roundabout, I'd like you to follow the road ahead, please. That's the first exit. The one that you can see on your left is just a gateway.
Margaret, what happens if you feel you've made a total hash of something? Can you actually say to the examiner, I'm sorry, I don't think I've done that very well, could I try it again? Or is it best not to try to do that?
Well, normally if you say that to the examiner will say, drive on please. But if you just correct it as if you were on your own and you do it correctly, then that would be acceptable.
So you don't suggest anything like that to the examiner?
No,
right.
If you feel it's wrong and you can correct it, just do it. Sounds as if she's got a frog in her throat.
And I think a bit of a nervous cough there. Speed okay? Not going too fast or too slowly?
The second road on the right.
Certainly
That's
not.
the first one.
Certainly not too fast. She could probably be going a little bit faster than she is at the moment, but again, allowances will be made for that. It's better to go too slow than too fast sometimes.
Mm.
And I'd like you to pull in to the left at the next convenient place, please.
Ah, pull into the left, so something else is coming up now.
Yes, it looks as if we've got a junction on the left which she might be reversing into.
Thank you. Now the road on the left is the one I'd like you to reverse into. Would you just pull past the junction, stop the car, and then reverse into the side road for a considerable distance, please? Drive on when you're ready.
Right, so we've got our reverse to the left. Presumably this means that she won't get the reverse to the right as well. Or might she get both?
It's very, very unusual for an examiner to ask a candidate to reverse into a road on the right on a normal L test in a car. So unless they go in a van with no side windows, it's very unlikely. Our observations will be important on this one because we have got quite a few parked vehicles around.
Well, she's looking around well. She's had a lot of pressure put on her with the camera team and everything else. Indeed, the camera team who yes, you can see in the background there.
Yeah, she's doing well. She tells me on her early lessons she used to blush terribly, but she seems to have got over that problem with all these eyes on her.
Thank you. Right, thank you. You can drive on, and I'd like you to turn left. Would you pull up along here on the left when it's convenient, please?
And another stop so soon.
Yes, well, we haven't had the emergency stop yet, so it should be about time for that.
Thank you. Now, shortly I shall be asking you to stop as if in an emergency. When I give you the signal, I want you to stop as if a child has run off the pavement in front of you. The signal will be stop. Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Drive on when you're ready then, please.
Now, will this emergency stop take place immediately or...
Well, obviously the examiner is going to make sure that it's absolutely safe before she gives the signal to stop. And it may not necessarily be straight away.
Oh, no, indeed, we've got a road junction coming up here, so
yes.
we're much too close to that, so let's see what happens. Hope the camera car doesn't run into the back of her. Hello, she's got a reprieve. There's a car turning there.
Yes, not a good time at the moment. The examiner will normally wait until the road's reasonably clear of parked vehicles and moving.
Stop.
Did she stop quick enough?
I shan't ask you to do that.
From
You
that
drive
speed,
on
she
when you're
stopped quick
ready,
enough,
please.
yeah. She stopped well within her braking distance and stopping distance. She could have had a better look around the car before she moved away, so she'll probably get another minor there.
Got another minor
At the end
point.
of the road, turn left, please.
Another minor point deduction.
Well, it's not sort of a deduction. The minor errors go down so that it is a reminder that you need to look at these points in your driving afterwards. Minor errors on an L test don't accumulate to a failure.
Now, with the test running up to anything up to 30 minutes, we must be about 14 minutes into the test. So far,
She's
is she
doing
on a good wicket?
She's doing reasonably well, yes, yes. We'll see what the busier junctions and roads have to offer us. See if she copes with those as well.
And take the next road on the right, please.
Good, she held well back from the cyclist there. She wasn't tempted to try and get into the junction too quickly.
And the road positioning was good,
Yes,
near the
yes.
crown of the road.
Another nice turn.
And no temptation back there to chop the lines on the corner at all.
No, well, she has had lots of lessons and she's probably been told about cutting corners in the early days. She's probably been given a good reason for it as well, and that's the dangers of meeting something coming towards the junction.
At the end of the road, turn left, please.
Now we're back on... Yes, we're back on some main roads again by the look of it.
Good, get a bit more activity now, a bit more to cope with.
When we get to the next major junction, which is a roundabout, I'd like you to take the road leading off to the right. That's the third exit.
Oh, we've got a bit more happening now.
The traffic's building up a bit, isn't it?
Yeah. Good, she's getting over to the right-hand lane nice and early so that she doesn't have to make a last-minute lane change. It's quite important on a busy dual-laned road. This particular junction we've got 2 lanes for going to the right, so she's taking the centre one, which is sometimes the best because then she won't have to make a lane change when she joins her new road.
Now, I've driven this particular one before, and of course you can go round the roundabout, you can go down onto the slip road onto the A3. So, in fact, from my knowledge of the area, she's actually in the right lane.
Yes, the correct lane, yes.
The correct lane, indeed.
Yeah, so we've got the right turn arrows in both of those lanes. We'll see what happens when she joins the dual carriageway.
Now, presumably, when you join a dual carriageway, you've got to keep up with the traffic,
That's
so
the
she'll be
correct one.
expected to press on a little bit here.
Well, it is quite important because otherwise, if you're driving too slowly, you can't get into the main carriageway and you cause problems for other drivers as well. So it's quite important to be positive on this type of road.
It seemed all right.
Yes, everything okay so far.
Now, presumably that's the right thing to do. Ease off, let the car come through, as he's going obviously quite a lot faster.
That's the correct thing to do in that situation, yes. See how she joins the main carriageway. She's building her speed up nicely now.
Oh, that was good and smooth, no problem there.
No problem. She's lucky today. I think she's got a reasonably quiet day. Must be half day closing.
Is she going fast enough?
Yeah, she's building her speed up nicely now. I should think she's getting on towards 55, building it up. Ideally, if she's on a dual carriageway with a 70 limit and the road conditions are safe, she should get up to the limit.
Oh, so the examiner will be quite happy if you actually take the car up to 70?
Well, yes. I mean, it's a test to see whether you're capable of driving on the road on your own. If she doesn't do 70 now, is she going to be able to cope when she's out on her own? So the examiner would rather see her doing 70 on a road like this than 45.
I'd like you to take the next exit on the left, please. And when you get to the roundabout, would you follow the signs for Kingston? That's the road leading to the right, the third exit.
It was quite sensible there. She left the dual carriageway in the right-hand lane because she knew she was going to turn right at the roundabout. So again, she's not got to make any last-minute lane changes.
And she still hasn't lost the camera car. Now, we still haven't seen a three-point turn yet. I'm sorry, it's not a three-point turn these days, is it, Margaret?
No, it is referred to as a turn in the road exercise. The reason for that is so that it does take pressure off the candidate. They don't think they've got to do it in 3 movements because, of course, how many movements it takes will depend on the width of the road, the size of the car, and obviously the candidate's control of the car. And normally on a driving test, candidates are only asked to carry out 2 out of the 3 manoeuvres.
And if you can find somewhere convenient, I'd like you to pull in on the left.
Now, this looks like a suitable road for our turn in the road exercise, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. It's reasonably, well, it's very quiet and it's reasonably wide as well. She shouldn't have a problem on this road.
Thank you. I'd like you to turn the car round using forward and reverse gears, please. Do take care not to touch the curbs as you turn. When you're ready.
Now, she's looking well all around her.
Yes. Let's hope she
But
comes
what
onto the
about...
signal.
Oh, what about the... Oh, that was just
yes.
just in time, wasn't it?
Yes. One of those little memory lapses when you're under pressure.
In fact, she's really been very lucky because in a small car like our Volkswagen Polo, it's... and she's waited. That's all right, isn't it?
Yes,
Was that
and
correct?
yes, that's correct. The other one has priority, and now we've got another one.
And as I was saying, a little car like the Polo, no problem at all turning in a road that
Thank
size.
you. Drive on.
Absolutely no problem.
In fact, it's quite a good-sized car
I'd
to
like
learn
you to
in.
take the second
quite,
road on the
reasonable
right.
car,
That's the one
yes.
immediately after the traffic lights.
And also for a young driver, being only about 1100 cc, nice and easy to insure.
That's correct, yes, and power's about
Yes,
about
please.
right,
That's
really.
the one where
Don't
the
want-
white car is.
We don't want too much power, not for an inexperienced driver.
Now, we seem to be back fairly close to the test centre now. Do you think she's done well?
She's not done too badly. She's made 1 or 2 minor errors, but nothing serious has taken place.
Do you reckon she's passed?
I think she might just do it. I am pleased to tell you that you've passed your test.
Congratulations, she's done it. But don't believe for a moment that the learning process stops here. Expertise is built up over time, and your driving should continue to improve over many years as you constantly meet new situations and drive different types of car. As soon as you've passed your test, it's a good idea to take a couple more lessons to make sure that you really understand the techniques of driving on motorways. It's all very well to read about it, but there's no real substitute for hands-on experience.